You're now watching Bananas and Donuts, good versus fresh versus healthy.
Hello, and welcome to Bananas and Donuts, good versus fresh versus healthy. This session is for experimenters. That means you're still in the testing mode, but looking to set yourself apart in your area of geography. I'm Kay Siegel with Business Accelerator Team, and I'm joined by Erica Haight from Quick Trip. Business Accelerator Team is a problem-solving organization, and we do consulting and marketing. We serve both the vendor and the retail communities. We were established in 2015, and all of our partners are from industry. Today, we hope you will walk away being able to differentiate the terms healthy and fresh and identify the items that you should carry in each category in your store, and how you can profit from offering these healthier options. And finally, list new ways for you to market healthy and fresh foods. We're here because, according to the NACS SOI reports, perishable, alternative snacks, and food service have all grown, but we know that there's more opportunity with strategic focus and appropriate consumer options. The key is having the options available for people anywhere on their health and wellness journey, and I'll talk about that in a moment. As you can see, there's opportunity for the growth, whether you're in the second, third, or fourth quartile to get to where the first quartile is in these categories. And we'd also like to see the first quartile grow even further. What do consumers say? Well, 1 in 3 turn to convenience stores for healthy and fresh food options. However, 50% of them have expressed that the variety and quality in the convenience store could be better. So whether they're looking for healthy snacks, on-the-go items, sandwiches and salads, or fresh fruits and vegetables, we know that there's opportunity to satisfy their needs. My focus will be to talk about the words that matter, the consumer journey, the retailer journey, and products. Let's talk about healthy. It's in our title of our session. Instead of just saying something is healthy for your consumer, talk about the fact that it might be beneficial or nourishing. It might be energizing, wholesome, or nutritious. These words mean more than just healthy. And going further, when we talk about fresh, there's much better adjectives to use. The crisp apples or the moist and refreshing watermelon. And many people think that the opposite of fresh is frozen. It's not. It's limp, stale, or rotten. And so remember, when carrying fresh items, you must look at them often and rotate out anything that is blemished or not fresh and crisp and juicy looking. If you'd like to learn more about taste-focused labels versus nutrition-focused labels, this was a good video that I found, and it's at themenusofchange.org. The video is B5. Some testing was done at Stanford University comparing taste-focused labels, so those using words like juicy or spiced pepper carrots or glazed carrots versus just using nutrition-focused. And there was a 51% higher transaction rate for those products that were sold under the taste-focused label. So again, we encourage you to check out this video. Let's talk about the consumer journey. The journey or the need set that we're trying to satisfy with these products is the health and wellness journey. And consumers are at different parts of this journey all the time. The journey is aspirational. We all know what we should do, the disciplined approach, but we're all tugged by that indulgent, wonderful looking product like a donut. So understanding where your current consumers are and understanding that they could have aspirations to be more disciplined about their diet provides you the opportunity to carry different products that may appeal to them along the journey. And it also allows you to attract new consumers that might be further along the disciplined versus the indulgent diet. There's some overarching trends, and if you understand the larger landscape, you will be able to select products that could satisfy people along anywhere in the journey. Older generations are concerned about things such as diabetes, heart disease, and obesity. Younger generations are looking for more holistic eating, a balance of indulgent and discipline. And they're looking for food for the mind and mental health. The one nice thing is that offering products with less sugar, products that are less processed, and products that have functional or beneficial ingredients are commonalities that can satisfy both consumer groups. So you can create if you in your food service area, or you can acquire and market products in other areas of your stores that have less sugar, are less processed, and are functional. Those on the health and wellness journey, as I said, it's an aspiration. It's a journey, literally. Starting out in the more basic areas are those nourishing or wholesome items. And then as people move along the journey, they may be looking for superfoods, or things that have medicinal advantages that can reduce inflammation, or they might be looking for clean labels. But you can align your products to the journey of your customer. If your customer, let's say, you're near a college and university, you might have more people that are further along their journey looking for that clean label or that mind-body mental awareness. And so you might carry a few more products with superfoods. But if you're in the general population, you might have the need to carry the basic, more functional ingredients. As you can see, 65% of consumers that were surveyed in the CARI survey were looking for food and drink with added functional ingredients. And functional ingredients are things like vitamins and minerals, could be CBD, could be other nutrients and electrolytes. Whereas 25% were looking consciously for superfoods. So again, depending upon where your store is, you may need to stress one side or the other, but you can't go wrong with offering the functional ingredient products. So let's talk about the retailer journey. We're starting with the larger consumer group, those looking for functional food and beverage. And it's important to incorporate items throughout the store. So as you can see, in the frozen section, and these were screen grabs from the internet, in the frozen section, I've incorporated Power waffles. Many stores carry other waffles, so you can incorporate something a little bit healthier or more whole food oriented. There's fruit bars that you could sell in a package or individual. And then Moon Cheese is one of those products that I found actually about 3 or 4 years ago while traveling and went to a Starbucks. Starbucks is a great place to look for items. And nuts for the more health-oriented individual might be with no salt or non-roasted, so they're raw. So as you can see, the functional beverages that I've included here, yogurts and yogurt drinks, all the way through food service, whether it's sandwiches, salads, or wraps to go. And even for the snack occasions, the chilled snacks. And of course, fruit. Let's talk a little bit more about fruit. We sell as an industry about $250 million worth of fruit. These are the top sellers. And while bananas have taken a decline over the past few years, there's been an increase in cut fruit sales. So you can definitely carry whole fruit, and cut fruit is a great advantage to include into your set. But you might not be able to carry cut fruit because it requires good refrigeration and good food safety standards. So if you can't, I've included a couple of pictures here of some fruit that you could bring in, that you could take these packages apart and place them into your whole fruit display. Again, cross-merchandising and providing cups of fruit to go. And if you can carry cut fruit, you could bring it in from an outside vendor, as I've shown here, or you could cut it in store, but again, using good food safety procedures. You want to market inside and outside your store with visual cues. Natural wood is a perfect item to show that you're in the fresh business. You can create false bottoms so you can mound products higher. Nobody wants to buy the last piece of fruit. Use fruit art, whether inside or out, to draw attention to the area of your store where you have fresh fruit. And of course, lighting. From a social media and community perspective, it's important to engage with your consumers and support the lifestyles that are aligned with health and wellness. So you could sponsor 5K runs. You could give products away at the 5K or other outdoor activities. You could even hold events where you discuss and talk about different lifestyles of health. It's a journey for consumers as well as retailers. So start small and build upon the beginning pieces that I've shared today. Let's talk about where we can find inspiration in products. People, your employees, and your consumers that you have right now. Create a survey that you get some standardized information and ask your consumers what they'd like to see. Are they eating particular foods at home that they'd like to find in your stores? This is a great place to start. Some retailers that do a really good job are Trader Joe's. And by the way, did you know that Trader Joe's started out as a traditional convenience store in the 50s? So again, your journey can take you anywhere. Whole Foods and Sprouts is a local health market as well. And Costco. I usually go to these stores and look at who's manufacturing items. And that's a great place to find inspiration. There's also some great shows. Natural Products runs an Expo East and an Expo West in normal years. And it's a great show and you'll see lots and lots of products. But then you need to have those brought to your store. We have wonderful distributors in our industry, but as you move down this journey of finding more healthy and fresh options, you may need to expand those that are distributing to you. KeHE and UNFI are good distributors in the natural and specialty space. Cisco US Foods and Benny Keith are in the food service arena, as well as others. And then there's the produce distributors. We often overlook the produce distributors that are distributing to restaurants in our neighborhoods all the time. As a matter of fact, when I was a category manager at Circle K, I needed a fresh fruit program in Arizona. And we had our managers going to stores, grocery stores, to find some fruit and put it in their store for sale. This was provided for a very inconsistent product. Inconsistency within our chain. So we teamed with Willie Ituli Produce and created a program where we had 15 core items that could be ordered and delivered within 48 hours of the order. So it really provided a lot of better access for our store managers to provide their customers with consistent products. And start out with some of the best sellers that we noted on previous slides, but it's really good to bring in seasonal items. And especially as winter rolls in, some of the winter squashes that have longer shelf lives, or in the summer, grapefruits to go along with the oranges and things like that. Produce Alliance is a master distributor. So if you're having trouble finding a distributor in your area, you may want to check with Produce Alliance and see if they have someone who can help service your stores. NACS has some great tools. This is a downloadable content piece, and it's available right from our session. And some key points that are noted in here are that variety sells produce. I just talked about that. Using creative adjectives. Again, we talked about that earlier. And using taste-focused labels versus nutritional-focused. And having multiple displays in your stores. A lot like the one where I talked about having cut fruit, shelf-stable cut fruit, in your full fruit display, your whole fruit display, and use shelf talkers and signage to direct people to the right locations in your store. If you'd like to stay in touch, please connect with me in any of these ways. Or Business Accelerator team does have a booth at the Crack the Code event, and we'd love to have you make an appointment with us. So some key takeaways. from this portion of the program are words matter, so we hope you use proper descriptive adjectives when talking about fresh and healthy. Position to the needs, the health and wellness needs, and then the products. Plan for the whole and begin with a segment, and look for inspiration from outside our industry.
Thanks so much, Kay. I'm Erica Haight, and I'm a registered dietitian for Quick Trip. A little background on our stores. We are a single family-owned business located in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. We're known as Quick Star in Iowa. We have around 700 stores, and we are a vertically integrated company. With our vertical integration, that basically means if we can do things for ourselves, we try to do that. Below, you can see our commissary, bakery, dairy, distribution center, and food safety labs. This vertical integration really allows us to have more control over the products that are going in and out of our stores, and it helps solve some of the distribution challenges that Kay was mentioning before. So Quick Trip really got started with healthy and fresh food in our stores by selling bananas. It's kind of what we're known for. And when we started because we had noticed a potential opportunity, and that was that we had guests coming in our stores and buying coffee and the like in the mornings, and produce really seemed like a natural fit to go along with some of those purchases. And this was really just a great vision that our leadership had at the time. And 30 plus years ago, I couldn't really get a firm date on when we started selling produce. It was not common to buy your produce in a convenience store. So we really had to work at consumer perception and changing that. But the leadership was committed. And so then the notion became you either sell bananas or you sell banana bread, but we were basically going to be in that business. And today we've really been successful in that. In this slide here, you can kind of see that we have our banana ripening room. So we bring in green bananas to our warehouse, and then we ripen them as the stores are needing that product. And it's always a fun feature that people ask about. So to get started with that produce beyond bananas, we kind of had to find a way to make that work, and our focus really needed to be on food. So this is a very early picture of one of our stores, but you can see that it's advertising very prominently that we are a food store and that we sell groceries. And in that, it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was something that really took a lot of work and dedication to get into the business. So we basically figured out kind of how to make the bananas work and how we could be successful in selling those. And then it was on to the next so that we could be successful in selling that as a category. And in the business of our food, we've made that focus as important as selling gas or sodas or anything else. And as Kay's mentioned earlier in her presentation, consumers are really looking for more options that are healthy and fresh. And so we've needed to rise to meet that challenge as well. And we've sold a lot of things over the years that have been commodity items. So we've sold things like potatoes, onions, tomatoes, and things like that, but it really needed to grow beyond just produce. So we've gone into the market of selling more things that our guests are looking for and moving into the bars and other things. But determining what products that you're going to sell, admittedly, can be tricky. It's really been a trial and error situation. And our guests' opinions of what constitute fresh or healthy vary amongst them. And so it can be hard to dial in. Finding products that align with specific medical conditions, like Kay mentioned, or fad diets are ever evolving. So that is something that has to be kept up with as well. And in our stores and in many convenience stores, we don't have nutritionists that are necessarily buying products. So again, that can create a challenge of what constitutes healthy. And so I think the question always becomes, what do we buy? Because every vendor you ask can present you with a list of products, but what is it that your consumer is really looking for? And so my advice would be to talk to your consumers. Ask them, they're at your stores, they're in and out, ask them kind of what they're looking for, ask them what products interest them, And then also to kind of harness some of your social power. If you work on social media, if you advertise on there, you can certainly run polls, ask open-ended questions of your guests and things like that. And they really are often engaged and will provide you with great feedback. And it helps take some of that guesswork out of what they're actually looking for so that it translates to sales and not as much of that trial and error. You can also team up with programs such as SNAP and WIC, which are government-run programs that really drive consumers into the store to purchase some of those healthier items. And that might be another option to look at as well, that kind of helps give you a customer base right from the get-go. Another thing that you can try certainly is to do limited time offers. So that doesn't commit you to selling that product indefinitely or large volume purchases of a product, but more of a seasonal item that can bring it out and kind of test the waters as to what works for your market and what does not. Another image of our produce island and end caps. And as Kay mentioned, keeping these well stocked and full are key to these items. We certainly need to rotate through produce so you don't have anything that is old looking in them. And also keeping those fully stocked really helps consumers purchase those. It tends to be like a dessert you share with your friend. Nobody ever wants that last piece, and nobody ever wants the last piece of produce. So really key to keeping these stocked. This is an image of just some more nudges. Here we have installed meat cases in all of our stores, so we are now in the market of fresh meat as well. And it creates a really wonderful opportunity for us to cross-promote some of our items. Here you can see things like chicken breasts or brats, burger, things like that, and then it's cross-promoted with lettuce and mushrooms in this particular view, so that families can really put together a nice meal and create a full meal without having to walk through the store. Here again is another opportunity for a healthy nudge. We have this end cap, which happens to be refrigerated, and this is filled with water. So it's filled with flavored waters, regular waters, caffeinated waters, electrolyte water, you name it. And some of this water is our privately labeled water, so it has a really nice potential for gross profit, but is really also a wonderful nudge to get consumers to make that healthy beverage choice as well. And the other picture depicts some of our take-home meals. So again, when you're making these product selections, we produce these items in our own facilities here, but it's about creating some healthy meals to mix in with our more indulgent meals and just giving consumers some choices that they can make. In terms of merchandising, this is just kind of showing that we have produce in this particular case located throughout our stores. Aside from this island, we have canned vegetables. We also have canned fruit down our shelf stable aisle. We have steamer bags in our frozen foods. And then, of course, if you go through the snack aisles, we have things like bars and nuts and things like that in our salty sweet section, and lots of just other opportunities so that it's not all in one location. So if you've added healthy and fresh items to your lineup, it's good to let people know. Too often we add these products to our lineup and then just expect our guests to know that they're there amongst all the other products in our stores. And again, with consumers spending 3 to 4 minutes in your store, they may not have the opportunity to see those new items. So here are a few examples in the way that we advertise some of those healthy offerings to our guests. And starting outside, we have pump toppers, fuel islands, roadside signs, and window fluid stations that all kind of advertise these healthy offerings that we have in our stores. Semis have also been a big addition, no pun intended, to our fresh marketing. So you get to see these rolling down the interstate as you go, and that's kind of a fun, big advertisement as well. But just kind of signifies to people that may not be familiar with our stores, maybe traveling through the area, that you can go to our stores and find some of these healthy and fresh offerings as well. And this roadside display is a newer digital advertising piece that we had. However, if you don't have these methods, certainly banners or anything else work as well. A couple of other promotional items that we utilize. This is a grand opening ad on the left, and it features some of our fresh or better for you options. These are colorful images that communicate to guests in new areas that we may not have stores, and it also provides some price incentivizing for them to come on in and try it if anyone is still leery about purchasing their fresh produce or fresh items in general from a convenience store. The other piece of advertising is a counter mat. So this just kind of features some of the daily or weekly specials that are going on in our stores. And this is happening to be produce this particular week. But I really like this piece because it mixes it in with some of the other more indulgent items that we offer in our store. So it's really, again, just kind of offering up choices for our guests and not really directing anybody to this is what you need to purchase, but it's also kind of presenting it as an option and a healthy nudge there. Here are a couple additional ways that we promote our products, and we really have fun with some of these. On the left, we have a social media post, which isn't necessarily featuring one of our healthier items, since it talks about donuts, but it definitely makes me laugh and highlights the way you can have fun and engage your guests. This particular post here had 3.6 thousand reactions or likes, 202 comments, and 427 shares. So a great little piece of social media that got our guests really talking and basically advertising for us. The other piece is a digital display board. These are new to our stores, been added over the past couple of years, and we've had fun with these as well. This particular one here was featuring a short video that ran in our stores, and it talked about dairy products and where our dairy comes from, gave guests kind of a glimpse into our dairy facility here on our main campus, and really just brought them into the fold as far as trying those items and what it looks like behind the scenes. As I mentioned before, guest feedback works wonders. It takes the guesswork out of trying to select products and what you should sell in your stores. This here is just a comment from one of our guests talking about how they enjoyed our salads and they liked the price point, but it was submitted to us via social media. So again, a great way to engage with your guests on social and get guests talking and working for you. Another way in which we market our healthy and fresh items is through our rewards program. So after 15 visits, guests can redeem their points for a reward, and one of those items is generally something that is healthy. In addition to that, we have a great way that we can partner up with some of our vendors and things like that so that we can offer guests incentives to purchase some of their products, but also feature some of the healthy items that we have in our stores. We've done some really fun collaborations where we've teamed up with, say, a soda company who, you can buy a soda and, get some money off on a salad or something along those lines. But it's a great way to create a nice partnership. And then, of course, also features a couple of our products that are healthier that are just kind of nudging, again, our guests to make the healthy choice and try some new products. Lastly, I would say to not shy away from partnerships and collaborations. Work together to kind of achieve this healthy and fresh perspective. So we collaborate with a lot of our local health departments, health-focused community groups, and as well as national partnerships like Partnership for Healthier America. One thing that you may notice in this advertising is a lot of what we talk about, as Kay mentioned as well, is that our food is fresh, it's fast, it's all of these descriptors, but we don't talk a lot about healthy. And we strategically do that. Healthy isn't necessarily always connotated with cool or good tasting for our guests. And so we really try to focus on some of those other descriptors that Kay mentioned in our marketing that help them dial in on these products. So calling things, fresh food fast or crispy this or things like that help drive that business in that direction.
Thank you, Erica. That was a great presentation. And I would encourage anybody in the Wisconsin or surrounding state area to take a visit at Quick Trips because they are one phenomenal chain. So I have a couple of questions for you, Erica. And the first being, in addition to selling lots of bananas, what's been one of the most surprising things for you and from a growth standpoint for Quick Trip?
Our fresh meat program. I mean, that has really been one of those categories that was a change in perception, not only for consumers, but for myself as well. I don't think we typically think about purchasing fresh meat from a convenience store. And so that was something new I had to wrap my head around. But we always do a great job of bringing in quality products, and our consumers really got behind that and were really interested in that category. And what was really interesting is that then helped grow some of our other categories in fresh and healthy. So no longer were we just convenience for things like grab and go sandwiches or salads or fruit, but it also extended it so that it was more of a mealtime solution as well. So consumers would stop in, buy some fresh meat, pick up a salad or two to go along with that, or some other form of, produce or any type of side to go along with their meals. And that growth was just phenomenal.
Awesome, thank you. That's fresh meat. You don't see that in too many convenience stores, that's for sure.
No.
So what are some other products that you feel that if I'm starting my journey with my store that I really can try and make that presentation to the consumer? What are some of the other ideas you have?
Yeah, so of course you have to work with what you have. If you don't have refrigeration, some of these ideas may be off the table, but really we've experienced some really great sales in our produce category, be it whole or that cut fruit category is really popular as well. And in addition to things like fruit, but we bring in maybe veggies and dip or hummus, things like that as well is a good category. Of course, again, if you don't have those refrigeration units, it might be a challenge for you to do something like that. So there's always lots of other great alternatives like nuts or things like that are more shelf stable. Of course, you've mentioned in your piece there, the functional foods is a really great and popular category. So things like bars that have a functional quality to them, maybe it's protein or something like that, or in a fiber. And a lot of times these bars will have call outs on them as well that kind of make it easy selecting for the consumer as well. But it extends over to the beverage category as well. Maybe you bring in some waters with electrolytes or other functionality as well.
Awesome, thank you. And you have a lot of knowledge because you're a registered dietitian. I have a small chain, let's say, and I don't have the ability to have a registered dietitian in my organization. How can I find someone like you to help me?
This is a great question. There are lots of resources. I would say to start off and keep it local. Reaching out to your local health department is always a great idea. If they can't help you directly, they usually have lots of great resources in the community that they can connect you with. But they generally have dietitian or nutrition staff on site that might be a little skewed with COVID. They may have to redistribute their resources at this time, but again, they could always provide you with additional resources like local community groups that are working on projects with a health focus. They might be able to step in and kind of help you out. Universities that have a nutrition program would have students that might be able to take on a project like looking at either different products you could bring in or help set up more of a healthy retail environment altogether. Hospitals and clinics generally have dietitians on staff, and of course they're interested in having a healthy retail environment for their clients who may be dealing with certain ailments or just looking to live a healthier lifestyle. They need a place that they can direct their customers or their patients to out in the real world, the real environment that they can purchase healthy products. And so that's a great resource right there. And vendors also would generally have a list of healthier products. They're working with different programs like school nutrition that they have to meet certain requirements for, and that's also something that you could kind of follow. And last but not least, organizations that are larger or more national, things like Partnership for Healthier America, and of course NACS as well. As you pointed out, Kay, they have a lot of great resources, a lot of great articles they've written. And those are great tools when you're looking to bring healthy and fresh into your retail environment.
All right. Thank you, Erica. You shared some wonderful information today, and I really appreciate you joining me. And I'd like to thank NACS for making this session available. Again, for our attendees, we encourage you to download the information about the 8 ways to grow your business. And please remember that there is a survey, and we hope that you take the time to fill out the survey and provide NACS with very important information so that they can continue to make great programming in the future. Thank you.